Hello, I'm Austin Wilson, co-portfolio manager at Hixon Zuercher Capital Management.
I am Chase Rose, associate wealth advisor at Hixon Zuercher Capital Management. We are here to give you a monthly market update for the month of July, looking forward to August. So, Austin, will you get us started with some monthly
I will.
performance?
So the markets, in the month of July, the S&P 500 large cap U.S. stocks.
507, right?
505.
Oh, right.
I believe. Yeah. S&P 500 was up 0.94%. Dow Jones Industrial Average 30. Price weighted. Oh, don't get me started. Large cap U.S. stocks up 4.38%. NASDAQ, think tech, down 1.54%. Bit of a rotation there. Small caps
Killed it.
crushed it. Up 11.11%. Developed international stocks up 3.03%. Emerging market stocks up 0.23%. And bonds up 2.93%. So, it was really everything outside of the NASDAQ did pretty well.
Pretty good adjustment as growth has been the
Big leader
over the last couple of years. So good to see some other areas of the market
playing a little catch up, a little breadth action we're seeing.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely. All right. Well, one thing that did not go up in July was inflation.
I see what you
So the June inflationary reading, which is released in July, for the first time since May of 2020, peak COVID era, right? For the first time since May of 2020, inflation, month-over-month inflation, decreased by 0.1%.
So that's not inflation.
Deflation.
That's deflation.
That's
not even disinflation, which is just going down.
Correct.
This is negative.
This is
truly negative.
Negatory ghostwriter deflation.
I like it.
Yeah, 0.1%. Now the year-over-year reading from June to June, still positive, 3%. That is disinflation because it's down from the prior year, which was much higher than that. But with the negative month-over-month inflationary reading, it bolstered confidence that the disinflationary period is making some progress. So I guess inflation's coming down. In other words,
So one thing that inflation has a big impact on is the Fed.
Yeah.
So one of the Fed's mandates, one is price stability, also known as inflation control, and the other one is full employment. Well, a couple of news data points have come out around what they're looking for. Yes, we got good inflation data, and inflation data has been trending in the right direction for some time, but also unemployment data. So we got some unemployment data. Most recently, unemployment ticked up to 4.3%, and jobs added missed. We're still adding jobs, but we missed estimates by quite wide margin. So what this is really doing, in conjunction with the fact that the Fed did not lower rates, but essentially put rate cuts on the table for later in the year, what this is doing is saying, hey, maybe September, November, December, those are the next three Fed meetings, probably going to start getting some more firming of rate cuts coming this way. So as inflation continues to work in the right direction, and the labor market's weakening, the Fed has the ammunition they need to say it may be time to loosen the policy rate to start not slowing down the economy as much.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're a tourist visiting Spain,
I'd like to be.
Yes. After this story, you may not want to be. But if you're a tourist visiting Spain, bulls are not the only thing that you need to worry about being trampled by.
Yeah. The running of the bulls.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
So locals of Barcelona, Spain, took to the streets in July to protest the rising cost of living, primarily driven by tourism.
Uh-oh.
So these protesters marched the streets, thousands and packs of thousands, with water guns, and they went to popular outdoor restaurants and attractions for tourists and sprayed the tourists, shouting, "Tourists, go home." They really don't want tourists in Spain anymore.
Wow.
They're significantly pushing back against tourism in Spain. The cost of living in the last 10 years has gone up 68%, primarily driven by rent and home prices in Spain, up 38% over the last 10 years. So they're not very happy because a lot of people want to go to Spain to, run with the bulls, but you better be careful. Watch out for this protest.
I wonder what that protest really does. How is that going to bring cost of living down?
It won't necessarily. They're just trying to get rid of the tourists, which tourism is primarily increasing the costs.
See, but it's got to be illegal to
You would think that's fault.
Yeah, so I'm like, they're really gonna not fix anything from there. Protests never work.
Yeah.
That's pretty much where I'm at. Okay, so number 3, Treasury yields, is backpacking on what I talked about with the Fed. The Fed's probably going to be cutting rates, maybe as soon as September, but a rate cut seems more than likely than not this year, right? Or more than one. So Treasury yields follow anticipated Fed moves, especially on the short end of the curve. But we also like to talk about things like the 10-year Treasury is kind of the Treasury yield that everyone's looking at, right? Everyone's looking at the 10-year. The 10-year Treasury yield is down to the lowest level since early February, and we are well under 4% now on this unfortunate jobs report, with the unemployment rate ticking up to 4.3%, about 3.85%, so well under 4% for the 10-year Treasury. On one hand, this could be viewed as favorable for stock market valuations, but if Treasury yields are falling due to weak economic data, not necessarily good for stocks. So stocks have sold off in the midst of all of this. So yeah, yields are definitely coming down. You're also going to see things like yields on CDs and money market funds come down too, as those really short-term Treasury yields come down. So it's yields are coming down in general. So on one hand, you're going to be paying less in interest on things, potentially, but on the other, you're going to be earning less interest on things as well.
Absolutely. All right, big news during the month of July. I'm sure everyone who's watching this video already knows about this, but by default, we're here to give you the news that
we bring you the news you need, even though you don't know you need it.
Even though you already know it, probably too. So, well, market stuff you guys probably already know, but
they're experts.
Or don't already know, but the big stuff you're probably well aware of. Former President Donald Trump survived an assassination attempt during the month of July at a rally speech in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th.
That is big news.
That is huge news, right? I don't even know during my lifetime if we've had...
We haven't had one since Reagan.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a long time. Long time coming.
That's a long time.
The suspected gunman was killed by the Secret Service after killing one attendee and injuring two others, as well as Donald Trump. In the aftermath of the assassination attempt, the Secret Service has received significant backlash, which led to the director, Miss Kimberly, stepping down from her role. So,
yeah, really quickly.
Very quickly. One other thing that actually came of this as well is there's an independent candidate who will most likely be on the ballot this fall, Robert Kennedy Jr., who his family has had plenty of experience with these type of attempts. Not trying to be funny. That's just like a ironic thing. But he has been significantly pushing towards getting Secret Service protection, which he has not received. But in the aftermath of this assassination attempt, he was finally granted Secret Service protection.
Seems like a good move.
It seems like it might not be that effective.
Hopefully the Secret Service is a little better now.
I agree.
But I think having protection seems more important than ever.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely. All right, number 4 for me. So we talked about how the markets had done pretty well, right? Well, if you look at returns through July, the S&P 500 over the past 1 year, so that's 12 months, July to July, up 22.1%. That's pretty dang good 12-month period. That's nearly double a 12-month average since 1928. And it's just an exceptional period for equity returns. In fact, when we look at some of these shorter-term equity returns, they're much higher than long-term averages. And that is not something that is always the case, but it's something we can enjoy for the current time. And it's good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good time to be a stock investor.
Good time to be a stock investor. Is there ever a bad time? I mean, there are tough times in the short term, but over the long term, it's always a good time to be a stock investor.
I agree.
Keep that long-term mindset.
Absolutely. All right. Staying on the topic of political news, President Biden, current President Biden, dropped out of the 2024 presidential race after increased pressure for him to do so, which primarily stemmed from his debate performance back in June. There's been significant backing for Vice President Kamala Harris to be the Democratic nominee, but that will officially be determined during the Democratic National Convention in August. So at this point in time, Biden is no longer on the ballot for this November, but Kamala Harris is the overwhelming favorite to take over that nomination. Presumptive nominee.
Yep.
Absolutely. So we'll know that for sure. I believe August 18th is when the Democratic convention starts, and there will be an official ruling at that time.
So speaking of politics, really recently, the Biden administration has introduced yet another attempt to push through some sort of student loan forgiveness. Mind you, last time, actually probably the last couple times this has gone through all the way to the Supreme Court, it was deemed unconstitutional and not able to go through, but yet there is another attempt to go through at this point. So that's something to keep your eyes on. One thing we would point out is that because of the likelihood that this does not go through, don't count your chickens before they hatch. So don't be going all in thinking your student loans are going to be forgiven. But yeah, something to keep your eyes on the news.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. And for the moment you have all been waiting for.
I know I have.
I like to keep these news stories secluded from Mr. Austin's.
I don't know what's
just
coming.
as surprised as you are.
I don't know what's coming, but I know the segment.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite.
Florida news story of the month. So our lovely marketing coordinator, Ashley Miller, who actually does all the prep work for this video, besides the stories, that's from yours truly, of course. But she does all the prep work, and she actually submitted this news story for this month, and it was a great one.
We like
We like
viewer submitted
we sure do.
story.
We sure do.
So if you have a nice story idea, email it to us at hello@hzcapital.com.
And make sure to
subscribe. It may make the cut. We'll see.
Yeah. So in our Florida news story of the month, I'm just going to read off the page because I really don't want to
botch this.
So, a Florida man led police in a low-speed chase after shoplifting and escaping Walmart with jewelry and an electric shopping scooter.
Woo.
Reports say the police chase reached speeds of up to 2 miles per hour, and the thief attempted his getaway, eventually getting caught by authorities in a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the Florida man named Troy,
Troy,
was charged with grand theft, not grand theft auto.
Scooter?
I don't think scooter falls within that.
Grand theft scooter.
He was charged with grand theft, felony petite theft, and unlawful possession of a shopping cart. I did not realize that was even a thing. So
I mean,
you better be careful what you do with your shopping carts.
I see shopping carts around sometimes in places they should not be. That's unlawful.
Exactly. They were probably charged with unlawful possession. So,
that's why everyone needs to use the Aldi system where you have to put in your quarter to get the cart. That's genius.
I agree. Yeah. I don't know. A shopping cart's probably worth more than a quarter, though.
It makes me put it back.
Yeah. No, I suppose. The sheriff department did claim that they decided not to charge him with fleeing to elude because
is 2 miles an hour considered fleeing?
The chase speed was so low
that they walk by him.
Exactly. So yeah, that's our Florida.
That's our Florida news story of the month.
Troy was on one. He stole some jewelry from Walmart and left with the scooter. I think the scooter is actually more valuable than the jewelry.
Well, that's what I was just thinking. So we're talking about Walmart jewelry here.
Yes.
So this is like 1999, like.
Probably, yeah.
Or less.
Yeah, exactly. But that electric scooter, man, that's worth a couple bucks,
Well, that is certainly insightful and entertaining, and thank you, Chase, for that. Thank you for listening and being with us this month. Please remember, nothing we talked about today is a recommendation, but if you have any questions about your financial situation, feel free to give us a call at 419-425-2400 or email us at hello@hzcapital.com. And until next month, I've been Austin Wilson.
I have been Chase Rose.
You have been and still are Chase Rose, and we'll see you soon.
See you guys.
Bye. I grew up, I was allergic to watermelon.
What?
And
I've never heard of anyone.
Mango, cantaloupe, watermelon, muskmelon.
You have missed out.
So, didn't have watermelon for probably 20 years. And then I ate watermelon last week. No ill effects. I've cured myself.
Was that a life-changing experience for you?
I mean, watermelon's pretty good.
It's awesome.
I mean, it's not as flavorful as I wish it was, but it's kind of just wet.
You didn't have a good one?
Yeah. It's just
That's
wet.
good watermelon,
just wet.
man.
It's a wet fruit.
Yeah.
It's like water.
Are you going to try cantaloupe next?
I did.
You did?
Cantaloupe, I think, still made my throat a little scratchy.
Okay.
It wasn't like I was dying.
Mm-hmm.
Although I like to make my wife really nervous. I'll eat something I know I'm allergic to, and I'm like, and she's like,
I'm sure she appreciates that. With
that's not funny. Yeah. Else done around.
You should make a TikTok.
Floss?
No, I just meant like an account.
Okay.
But you can floss on your TikTok account if you want to.
I did get a reminder on my phone to floss today. It's Friday. Floss Friday.
Did you floss?
Nope.
Did you dance?
I ignored it.
Did you floss? You just flossed now.
Well, maybe then I could check off my to-do for the day.
Yeah.